Hello and welcome to the Garden Shop How to Garden video. In this video I want to show you how to sow seeds for broccoli and calabrese. So they're both very similar crops. In fact, calabrese is what we commonly call broccoli that we buy in supermarkets. So I'm going to start now by sowing the seeds. So how to sow calabrese or broccoli? Well, you can sow your seeds anytime from mid-spring to early summer. It's recommended that you start them off indoors in mid-spring or early spring in 9cm pots such as the ones we have here. Now I recommend pots of this size because once you go to transplant your seedlings out, you don't want it to have got to a point where the seedlings have become pot bound, as calabrese and broccoli do not like to have their roots disturbed that much. So that's why a 9cm pot such as this is ideal. We also have a similar pot here, which is the square 9cm pots, also available on the gardenshop.ie. So either of these pots, this is a deeper pot, would also be quite ideal to use. Okay, so now the process then involved in sowing your seeds. Firstly, you need, taking your pot, just fill it with a potting compost, which I have here. So I'm just going to take a few handfuls out, just place it inside the pots. So a potting compost is really quite a fine compost, if you can see it in my hand here. That's why we use potting compost for sowing seeds and seedlings, is because it's a finer compost and actually has less nutrients in it. And less nutrients is important in the early weeks and months of a seedling, as there's not much requirement for higher amounts. Okay, so I'm just going to fill the pot, give it a little tap down. Without pressing down the soil, you just want to tap it like that. It's going to take out any lumps that are in it. Okay. Next, then you're just going to Next, then I'm just going to give it a little watering before you sow the seed, just to soak the soil. So if you can see that here, yeah, just going to give it a soaking. So I have here a pressure sprayer, and that's quite useful for watering in this seeds and seedlings, because it gives a nice dispersion of water. Okay, so I have our seeds here. In this case we have the calabrese, and I'm just going to take them out of the pot. I'm just going to pour some out into my hand here. Okay, so you can just see the seeds there. They're coated seeds. And I'm just basically, in a plant pot of this size, I'm just going to plant 3 seedlings, or 3 seeds, in a kind of a triangle formation, so roughly in the centre of the pot. It's going to return the extra ones back into the packaging. So if you can just see the seeds in here, we have 1, 2 and this one, which ideally would be more over there. Okay, so next then you just want to take a small handful of compost and lightly cover your seeds. Okay, try to keep it to the finer bits, not to get any large lumps, because you just want to keep it nice and fine covering, and just give that a little press down then, because again you need good contact between the seed and the compost. So I'm just pulling out any of the lumps or chunkier bits of compost. Again, the finer stuff is what you really want. Gives the seedling a better chance to get up out of the soil. It only has fine compost around it. So that's really it in terms of sowing the seed. Then you just simply put in your labelled up plant, and you can put it into a seed tray, potting on tray that we have here. So potting on tray is quite useful because you can hold an entire set of plants in your hand, which is great in terms of when you're trying to move them around, when you're trying to turn them so that they're getting equal light all the time, or if you're trying to just take them out to water them. A potting on tray like this is ideal. So then the next step involved then in sowing a seed, in this case we have broccoli and calabrese, and what you want to do really then is allow these seedlings to emerge. We have 3 seeds in this pot. When the seedlings emerge, you thin out so that there's only 1 seedling remaining in the pot. Allow that seedling to reach about 15 centimetres in height, and when it's at that height you can then transplant your 15 centimetre high seedling out into the vegetable garden. So you're talking then around early summer by the time you get to plant your broccoli or calabrese out into the garden. So spacing wise then, Well, Calabrese requires about a spacing of about 40 centimetres apart in the rows, while broccoli requires a larger spacing of about 60 centimetres apart. In terms of care then, you just want to keep your vegetable plot prepared first by digging it over, adding well-rotted manure, as these like high nitrogen soil, so farmyard manure is ideal for adding to your soil. Then just keep your soil well watered and well weeded as well over the year. Calabrese then can be harvested by the end of summer, while broccoli takes a little bit longer and you're looking at autumn before you can harvest your broccoli. So that's it really. The next step now is once these seedlings emerge, we can thin them out, and then once they are 15 centimetres high, we'll show you how to transplant them out into the vegetable garden. So that's it. That's a video of how to sow your Calabrese and broccoli seeds from the gardenshop.ie.